The crypto market continues to soar, and the question that people may ask themselves, how far can it go? So if we look at the charts over the last year, then we can only basically see green, besides like 4 of them that are showing red. But overall, the top 100 is all in profit. But this is just the beginning. If we take a look at how the week started, we saw that BlackRock, their ETFs, they had an intake of 800 million US dollars on one day. Now I can still remember back in the day in 2016 when Bitcoin's value would go up, for instance, with 1,000 rand or $100 in one day. Then that was like a big shock, because I mean Bitcoin was only 7,000 rand, so when it goes to 8,000 rand, and then that's like a significant move. It's like 12% almost. But these days, Bitcoin goes up with even 10,000 rand on a day, and then it's perfectly normal. Reason being is we are much bigger, but it is yet still the beginning. So yes, people may actually be shocked by BlackRock having an intake of 800 million US dollars on one day. But I believe that with the trend that we are actually following, and this is going to become a norm. Since back in the day in 2016, Bitcoin going from 7,000 rand per Bitcoin now to over a million rand per Bitcoin, yet it's just the beginning, especially when it comes to alternative coins. And those alternative coins you can actually pick up for less than 10 rand. So it's just the beginning, and I believe that this will actually become a norm. Why do I say this? So whether Trump is actually going to win the elections, or whether Kamala is going to win the elections, this may have a temporal volatility, but overall the future of cryptocurrencies is not dependent on who is president in the US. But yeah, it would be a quick pump when Trump is actually elected. However, we saw the other day that Kamala even came out and she mentioned about their policies that they are actually bringing to crypto. So they are fairly open to actually play along now that they obviously want the voters to stand with them. However, you can see that Kamala doesn't know much about cryptocurrency. Remember, cryptocurrency stands for unity, or including everyone, because it's not a specific country's money. Like in South Africa, we have rands. US got their dollars. UK's got their pounds. Thailand's got their Thai baht. No, when it comes to cryptocurrency, it's global. So now, what she goes and say, you know what, they're going to create, or their policies is going to benefit black American men. And speaking about men, and yeah, yes, someone needs to stand up for men, but at the end of the day, that just shows that she doesn't understand crypto to a deeper level. But I mean, who complains that both presidents that are running for presidency are actually open to obviously take this further? But remember, without them, we came from 100 rand per Bitcoin to now over a million rand per Bitcoin. So without them, we will still get to, I believe that it's only a matter of time before one Bitcoin will be actually over 100 million. And economics backs that. But most people won't believe this until they actually see it. Because back in 2016, when I told people, you know what, Bitcoin is going to go from 7,000 rand, it's going to go to 10,000 rand. But I made a mistake. I told people, you know what, Bitcoin is going to go to 100,000 rand, and I explained to them the maths. And Bitcoin is one day going to go to a million rand. That is what I actually did. If you go back on my post 8 years ago, that is exactly what I've said in my Facebook posts. But to most people, because it's so far off, they and because they don't understand what the technology is about, just thinking it's internet money and not understanding what it stands for and what it does and why the world needs it, they didn't understand why it could go to 100k or a million for that matter. So I had to break it down. First explain why it's going to go to 10k, then explain why it's going to go to 100k, then explain why it's going to go to a million. If you take in one market, for instance, so earlier this week, Grayscale's founder mentioned that the Bitcoin market cap is going to be more than the US housing market cap. So at this point of time, we see that the US housing market cap is around about over 50 trillion, and the market cap for Bitcoin is around about hovering at 1 trillion. So that's a 50x. That means that when Bitcoin gets there, and this is a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar fund that is actually making this prediction. So if Bitcoin does that, that means it needs to do a 50x. So if Bitcoin is at 1 million now, that explains how it's going to go to 50 million per Bitcoin. And then, I mean, it's just doubling from there. So 50 million times 2, just to get a 2x from it, then it's 100 million. But to most people who do not necessarily understand economics, it might sound far off, and those are the people that's actually going to get left behind. So here we can see that how Bitcoin has performed just since 2020. So MicroStrategy, multi-billion-dollar fund, also they adopted the Bitcoin strategy in 2020, and just 4 years later we see that they have outperformed all of these other companies, that is also worth billions. So even Nvidia, it has outperformed it. So what is a 1620% growth in 4 years? That means if you had, let's say, 10,000 rand, so now it is times 16, then your 10,000 rand is 160,000 rand. Now I made a huge mistake back in the day when I got started. I was so eager to explain to people why it's gonna get there and wanting the best for people, but often I came across as actually wanting to sell my idea to people, and that basically just came because I cared so much. Not that I don't care now, but this industry is just growing day by day by day. So now I find that more people are actually listening to what we are sharing with them, even though I have the approach of whether you get in or whether you don't get in. This is what crypto is doing and what it's going to do. So family, don't take my word for it. Go to the website on the screen and learn more about this and how you can position yourself. And even better yet, click the link in the description and join our free online school. See you in my next video.